Alright, this lesson is on the basic geometry. There's just a few formulas that you use in this section. Perimeter area of a rectangle, triangle, and circle are usually the ones that are most common. Alright, so the first question is a rectangular swimming pool. Has a width of 22 feet and an area of 1,078 square feet. Oops, I added extra 0 square feet. And it says, what's the length? Alright, so first thing I do when I look at these problems is I look to see what formula I need. And they're talking area of a rectangular swimming pool, so that is length times width. So our A is 1,078. Our width is 22. And we don't know our length. And you can change your length to an x if you want to. So they are multiplying by 22, we divide by 22. And we get 49. Now this is just feet. So let's move on to the next one. So it says a triangle has a base. So we have a triangle has a base of 3 feet and an area of 6 square feet. So if the formula of a triangle, area of a triangle is a half base times height. So we know the base and we know the area. So I'm going to put the area here. And times 3 times h, we don't know. Now how you would simplify this is we would put these two together. Half times 3 is 3 over 2. And I'm going to leave out my little dots because we know when it's together it means to multiply just as much as a dot does. We would divide by 3 halves both sides, but remember dividing is the same thing as multiplying and flipping. So if I'm going to multiply both sides by 2/3, means the same exact thing. When we multiply fractions, it's tops times bottoms, so 12 over 3 equals, and then these two cancel out and just leave our h, and then we can simplify this to 4. So our height is 4 feet. So it looks like we're finding sides when we're doing these instead of finding the area. Alright, so we have a circle and it's got a radius of 7 centimeters and says we need to find the circumference and the area. So the formulas for the circumference, you can either do 2 pi r or pi d. Both of those mean the same thing. And then area is pi r squared. So let's start with our circumference. Now I always, just depending on which one I want to use, I look to see what they give me. If they give me the radius, I use the radius one. If they give me the diameter, I give me the diameter one. If they don't give you what you want, and you can always find your diameter by doubling your radius or taking your diameter and splitting it in 2 for your radius. Alright, so remember halfway is our radius. So we're going to do 2 times 3.14 times 7. And always pay attention. Oh, and I was just getting ready to say that. The question says type an exact answer in terms of pi. So instead of using 3.14, they just want you to use the symbol. So we don't have to do anything more than this 2 times 7, which is 14, and then put the little pi after. Now the reason they want you to do this is it's an exact answer. Pi is a never-ending number. It's 3.14 and it goes on forever. So when we just shorten it to 3.14, then this isn't an exact answer anymore. It's a close answer. So they like to leave it in terms of pi. Alright, and then our area is pi r squared, and the same thing, it wants us to leave our pi. So pi times our radius square, so it's 7 times 7. And then we always put our pi at the end. So 49. And I should put centimeters squared for our area and centimeters for our circumference. And they give us this figure of a cylinder. And they say from here to here is 6 feet. From here to here, top to bottom, is 8 feet. And I believe that's all we need to know. Alright, so cylinders formulas start out as a pi r squared, which just means that you're finding the area of this circle. And then the difference is we times that by height. So it's how many circles can we stack on top of each other to make a cylinder. So this is our area. Well, actually, it's our volume. I'm sorry. That's the volume of a cylinder. And this one says in terms of pi also. So we're just going to put pi at the end. So r squared. So our radius is halfway. So 6 squared is 36. 36 times our height. And we get 288, and we don't have to do anything for pi. Now, I think the next questions after you type this in is then they ask for you to times it by pi. So then that would be 288 times 3.14. And they always tell you what to use for pi. And then we have this rectangular prism. And they say this is 4 inches, this is 2 inches, and this is 2 inches. So the volume, and volume is 3-dimensional. So as soon as you start seeing 3-dimensional, that's your volume. And this is just length times width times height. So it's the same kind of thing that went here. We find the area of the flat surface on the top, which is this length times width. Then we see how many of those we can stack on top of each other for our height. So then our volume is 4 times 2 times 2, which is 16 inches, and volume is always cubed, and I forgot to put that up here. This is feet cubed also. So volume is cubed, area is squared. Right, and they give us this triangle, and I'm horrible at drawing, so forgive me. And they say that two angles of a triangle are the same, and then one is 45 degrees greater than the other two. So the thing to remember on triangle is the sum of the interior angles is always 180 degrees. So that's what we're going to make this whole thing equal to. So x plus another x plus x plus 45. So that's all three angles added up equal 180. So there's 3x plus 45 equals 180. Subtract 45 from both sides. 135 equals 3x, and then divide both sides by 3. And we get 45. So the question is, what is the measure of the top angle? This is not the top angle. This is just the plain x angles. So the top angle would be whatever we got and added another 45 to it. So the answer would be 90 degrees for our top angle. So same thing, they give us up to an angle. We got 3 different angles. So again, the mainest thing is to remember to add all your angles, and they equal 180. So we're going to combine all our x's. 11, 17x plus 10 equals 180. Take away 10, take away 10. 170, so x equals 10. So then that means this angle would be 7 times 10. So that's 70. This angle would be 6 times 10 plus 7, so that's 67. And this one would be 4 times 10 plus 3, so that would be 43. Degrees, degrees, degrees. So just be careful what they're asking for. Alright, we also talk about complement and supplement. So complement is the angles add up to 90 degrees. Supplement is 180. And I got these confused for a long time, so I just had to find a way to remember them. If you put them in alphabetical order, C and S, then you know that C goes with 90 and S goes with 180, because that's the order. This goes in alphabetical order, this goes in numeric order. So it says find the measure of a complement of a 54-degree angle. So that means that they have to add up to 90, so we take away 90 from 54. And we get 36 degrees. So they want the supplement of 104 degrees. So supplement would be from 180. And that would be 76 degrees. And the last thing I'm going to go over is some composite figures, which just means figures that are put together that aren't our typical, like we have a formula for them. So like this is an L-shaped object, and we don't have a formula for an L-shaped object, but we can take formulas of things we do know and try to apply it. So I look at this and I say, well, these look like rectangles that are put together, so let me make 2 rectangles. Doesn't matter where you put it down. We could even make this into 2 rectangles and a square if we wanted to do that. But alright, so we know we have this rectangle and this rectangle. And to find the area of this whole thing, it's the 2 things added together. So let's look at number 1 first. So let's do the area of number 1, which we know is length times width. So we got to find the length and width. We have one side that we know is 3. And then the other side, we don't know. We know from here to here is 8. But we don't know from here to here. So I'm looking for this missing piece here. So I'm going to use my detective skills. And if I look from here to here on this side, this is 2. So this would be 2. So that means from here all the way down would be the 8 and the 2. So this is 10 centimeters. And that's squared because it's area. So that's area of our number 1. So our area of number 2 is still length times width. So we know from here to here is 2. And from here to here, it tells us, is 8. So we get 16 centimeters squared. And then we want to add those 2 together to get our total. So anytime you see a weird shape, always cut it and redesign it so that it becomes shapes that you do know. So I think I saw one earlier that looked kind of like this, and it was a church window. Well, we don't know the formula of that shape, but we do know the formula of this, which is length times width, if we're talking area. And we know this is a half of a circle, so we could find the whole circle and then just cut it in half. And then we add them together. Right, so it's just breaking your pieces down. All right, if you need anything else, let me know.